kitchen installation, or rather say utility room. We've got this little utility room formed in the back of old garage in extension. That bit there, bit of wet patch, expose the pipes, check the joints, all dry. Spoke to plasterer, apparently he spilled a whole bucket of water there by accident. So in a screed it will take a few days to dry. I'll leave the plinths off so it can dry underneath the cabinets. Now we're gonna have a tall larder unit and then row of base units there. Gonna be washing machine, sink unit, another cabinet and a small cabinet on the end with a worktop on top and the sink. So all the units and the bits and bobs are here, being delivered kindly by Howdens. Greenish dove grey and a marble bullnose worktop. And that's basically plan. It's gonna have a tall larder unit, appliance, washing machine, sink unit, another 600 base unit and a 300 base unit. And should look roughly like that. So to start, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to transfer these measurements onto the wall, so we have some kind of reference constantly whilst we're working. So on that fresh plaster, below the height of the worktop, we're going to mark up all the joints between the cabinets. So we're going to have a bit of fillet on the side, 300 unit, 600 unit up to there, then 600 sink unit up to there, then 600 washing machine, and then a larder cupboard with a tall end panel coming there and finishing off with a tall end panel here. Now the next step is we're going to find out the floor in general should be level, especially now being new floor, but you never know with graders. So I'm going to put the level across and try to find out. Now it looks pretty level, which is good. It's got a slight fall to the left. I'm going to spin the level the other way. Yeah, it's showing ever so slightly fall to the left, but that's probably, we're talking about a millimeter. Actually screed is not that bad, it's nice and flat. The reason to check the floor level is with appliances and the plinths and in general running of the base units, you need to allow for any discrepancies in the floor. Because if floor goes up and down, I had in past where floor was going up and down for inch in a larger kitchen, obviously in a longer run, inch or so, and you start with a low end. By the time you get to the high end, your appliance will not fit under the worktop. So you have to make sure that you in general follow the highest floor level or medium floor level in order to be able to fit appliances. So the next step with this will be to take the measurement of the plinth plus height of the unit plus any allowance for floor finish. In our case we're going to have some tiles. We've got some offcuts of tiles here, so we're going to allow for a tile thickness plus a little bit of adhesive, and yeah, so tile, plinth height and a cabinet height with a little bit of tolerance in between left for little ease of installation of the plinth. And then we're going to mark up level line where the top of our cabinet is going to come to. So we're going to have on the bottom allowance, say 15 millimeters for the tiles for floor. Then is 6.5 inches, which is just under 170 mil. Say 165, I'll say 170 mil for the plinth, tile, plinth, and then we got 720 mil cabinet. So that is 5, 10, 905 millimeters from the floor, screed floor, to top of the cabinets. $905 mm. Now we have our datums for our cabinets. So we got our level line and where each cabinet goes to. So now we can start picking the cabinets out, fitting the legs on them, and roughly put them into the position where they're supposed to go. Alright, so we've got cabinet, first cabinet in the corner over there, it's a 300 cabinet. And opening the packaging, please be careful not to score any visible surface of the cabinet. Flip the cabinet upside down, use the packaging to lay it on. Then the leg part. Leg bases, put them into the position, and you got little lugs there. Show that. You got these little lugs here, and you have to fit them in, because what that does, it expands the lower part. So it's got that section there of the lug, that section that goes into the hole, and when this pin gets driven in, it expands this bottom section within the hole and grips the leg base tight. So let's do the other ones. Legs got little cups as well. Now, because we have our plinths on 170 mil and the 15 mil tile, that will add up to 180 millimeters. We're going to preset our legs to a height of 180 millimeters, but the legs are facing upwards. And that's going to give us a good head start in leveling our cabinets. So the first one goes there. Bit rocky, yeah, because floor doesn't have to be exactly level. So I can help out a little bit by adjusting the other legs. Just to get a bit of closer we can have to that datum line we have across the back there. Now, the next cabinet 600, and then another cabinet 600, and then space for washing machine, and then a larger cabinet. So I'm going to save my battery and retune back in when I got these other cabinets brought back here. Now the carcasses have been put into position roughly. That one we can't push back because of the plumbing and electrical side. This one here as well is going to have electrical power point socket in the back cabinet inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole in the back panel, bring the cable through for electrical socket, and disconnect the outside tap, turn the water off, disconnect the outside tap, bring the pipes into the cupboard, drill through, bring them in, and then reassemble it within the cupboard inside, and then we can level all this up and connect it together. There you go, cable in, and voila, hot and cold brought in, an outside tap when they go outside, and socket power supply for washing machine. It's in the cupboard. Now I can line these cupboards neatly together, level them all out, they're done with a level, and fix them together. Right, the second cabinet As you can see, it's lower on the back than the first one, and it's below the line, so we can access the legs to the back with a big flathead screwdriver. You can fill the slot, and as you turn it, the screwdriver, the cabinet rises up. Make sure it's flush. Also, use a level. It looks like the right hand side needs to go a tiny bit up. About that. The first one was leveled. You can see it's slightly out, so you're gonna raise the right hand side cabinet slightly to get it flush, and then use a level. As you can see, the right hand side is slightly too high. There you go, that's done. Slightly up there. Right hand side on the back. Now check that way, that's showing level, and also check for the plumpness of the front edge, and that's showing almost plumb. It's front is slightly too high, so if I just reduce the front on all of them, let me check the first cabinet. Yeah, that's plumb. We're talking about adjustments of millimeter, half a millimeter between them. Now, these two cabinets, 300 and 600, they can be fixed together by lining up the fronts and putting the fixing between the hinge holes. These two bottom ones and two top ones, that's where the hinges go. So if we go between that, once the hinge goes on, we don't see the fixing. Now we line up the top and front of the cabinet, hold it tight. Fix them together. Same on the bottom. And one at the back. So we have one there, one there, one on the back. Cabinets are nice and flush, top to bottom. Tops are flush because we level them individually first. They should be nice and level. Now we're going to carry on the next cabinet. Right, there is a whole block of 3 cabinets. put together, leveled out. Now we need to fix them to the back wall. So we're going to use the brackets provided, and we're going to drill into masonry and fix it. These are the brackets. They're going to be fixed behind there. As you can see, the wall it's fairly close, about 2 millimeters off the wall here. It's touching down on the bottom, 2 millimeters here. It's about 5 or 6 millimeters here, and then it's touching back here, which means the wall is slightly out. It bows outwards. That's why we didn't fit these brackets beforehand. It's because we need to bring them all the way tight into the wall. So I'm going to fit one bracket on this cabinet here. I'm going to fit the other bracket on this end here. Two screws on each. There you go, two screws and two screws, and as you can see, the bracket is touching the wall. So when we fit fixing through that wall, we're going to retain that gap, because that gap is purely because wall is out of line, and you can see it's touching there, and it's got a bit of gap there, and then it's touching down below. You don't have to scribe back of the kitchen for that. Behind the plasterboard is a thermalite block, and I'm going to use these chunky screws to go straight into the block. Now that's been leveled between the front and front to back, and also you can check the plumbness on both sides, and that should all be in the center of the bubble. Now next step is to double check our width and do fine adjustment on the width between that carcass and the larder unit, allowing for tall end panel to be installed and still leave 600mm gap for washing machine. Now we've got this additional unit cabinet to go on top of the whole larder cabinet. We'll prepare this because there's not much gap between ceiling, especially when we ceiling and cabinet once this goes on. So I'll have to prepare it to get brackets on to fix it to the wall. So mark up at the top. bracket, old bracket. Right, little correction. I'm going to put a Mazel bracket up on these top corner ones. One more screw. Tall decor end panel coming 91 inches. In effect, we got from the floor to the top of the cabinet, we have 90 3/4, 1/4 inch less than the size of the end panel. So the outer one we're gonna cut at 19 3/4, so it goes all the way from the floor all the way up to the top, and the inner one we're gonna cut so it goes from the bottom of the carcass, from that point there to the top of the carcass, including that knock-on cabinet. So when we have all the door fronts on, including the appliance, we can have a line of the doors with a continuous plinth underneath, without any break on that section there. Always cut with the back edge facing up. So if you get any splinters, they are on the back side, back end. A quick run with a medium grade sandpaper over the edge, take the sharpness out. And let's take it in and fit it. Now, panel cut to size. I'm going to slide up with the help of my foot on the side. Use these clamps, clamp it to the carcass. Then I can do some fine adjustments. Just release the clamp so it has a very fine grip on the top. I'm concentrating on the bottom. Okay, bring that panel nice and flush with the bottom of the carcass. And then reapply the pressure on the top. Check for the flushness on the top side, on the side. Perfect. We should have licked 20 millimeters for the door to sit in between. So this slip here should be 20 millimeters to allow for the thickness of the door, because door will sit inside of the panel. Now all I have to do is fix behind the hinge positions. There, I'll use there and one there screw and couple on the back, and that's how we're gonna fix this one. And then I'm gonna repeat the process on this side, but this time the panel will go all the way down to the bottom. Both decor and panels are installed. Now we're gonna go onto the worktop. Worktop is here. Put it on a bench. Measure out. That's my starting point. That will be the square end, and this end here always wall end. Very often it's not square. It needs some scribing in. So I'm gonna template that end there. Right, the worktop is installed. Now I'm going to mark up for the sink cutout.